Hello, my name is Erin Whalen. I'm the writer, director, and producer of Famous Dead People.
Hi, I'm Jason Paul Carter. I co-wrote and starred in this production.
And I'm Rob Roy. I was second unit photography, some of it, and the second editor on the picture.
More specifically, the effects editor.
Yeah, and the effects editor as well.
So this is the beginning of our film. This initial footage that you're seeing now, interlaced with the opening credits, was not in the script originally. It was done after the fact.
As well, we should point out we're recording this commentary on June 14th, 2010 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at Erin Whalen's apartment down on the waterfront.
It's been more than 12 years since this movie was made.
Yes.
So I'm trying to remember what the original opening was like. I think it was mostly just the elevator pictures without the exterior stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, initially we had... I mean, this is pretty much what was in the script. There was a couple of things that did get cut out. We had the clown idea. We had the idea of all these people cramming into the elevator.
Weren't there two people necking too? Or is that still in it?
Good question. It's been
I think it's coming up.
12 years. Yeah, it is. It is coming up, actually.
No,
it's
because I'm in the elevator.
Okay,
already.
then that must have been edited out at one point.
Yeah. I missed the people necking.
I know that I had a cameo, and it was important that I had a cameo, but in the end I decided that
You
piece...
took yourself out.
Yeah, I took it out. It didn't work.
So we cut to the chase with the two main characters here.
Yeah.
And who's that in the background? Should we...
That would be Carol McKay.
She was playing Ruth.
There's my effects editor credit. And so maybe we should talk a little bit about how...
Rehearsals?
Okay, sure, yeah.
When we initially had created this, Myles had come up with the concept. You and Myles, correct? Or was it just Myles?
Well, Myles came to me and said, like, I had another project that I wanted to do that would have cost a lot more money to make as an independent film. So Myles came to me and says, like, is there any way we can make something that's, like, a lot cheaper? So initially what we thought is we had to obviously do something with fewer characters and smaller location. But essentially, we were inspired indirectly by the concept of newspaper articles and the stories that you see in newspaper articles. You hear about these people who go through different tragic things in their life, and you don't really know the characters. So we indirectly created the script around that concept.
So the easiest way to do that would be to, of course, write a two-hander piece, more like a theatrical piece, and attempt to make that cinematic. And so I guess how long did we had maybe 2-week rehearsal after we finished cleaning up the script and working out little bits and pieces from it?
Might have been closer to a month. I know we didn't have any rehearsal spaces. We were basically going from apartment to apartment in Toronto to do it.
And this was, I think you kind of mentioned this, but this is not a set. This is a full elevator, so no breakaway walls, no lighting grid. None
This
of
elevator would have
the
been...
nice things you could have on a production.
Yeah, this would have been circa 1967. That college was founded in 67, if I'm not mistaken, so it really is quite authentic.
So you have little room to maneuver back and forth as far as camera work is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no...
A lot more sort of like wide shot and then in close, wide shot.
Yeah, you'll see that this is the main surveillance camera. That sort of is the essence of what's going on. We obviously had to cheat. Yeah. And as you can see, the two characters are now stuck in an elevator. It's a long weekend. And things are going to begin to get tense.
And I think in terms of story, when we edited, that we kind of shifted the timeline quite a bit, if I remember right, because some of this, we kind of compacted a bunch on the front end of them getting to know each other faster to get into their storyline better, right?
The order of the story did change, and there was a couple of sequences. There was a dream sequence that happens later that was deleted. We chose not to do this.
So the pacing was cleaned up a bit more in the editing.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, yeah.
Because there was a lot more sort of banter dialogue happening. Pause, long pause. not much happening.
Yeah, we kind of front loaded, I think, to get the story going on these two, and then we put a bunch of the pause in the center so that as the characters got frustrated with being there, the audience was feeling that tension a lot more as well.
Yeah, I thought this shot was really good, and it was good that we made the decision to go away from the surveillance right from the beginning, so we're establishing that we are cheating in the sense that obviously there's another camera in there. I mean, the surveillance does play a factor.
Do we want to discuss the black and white choice?
Sure.
Why that happened?
Maybe you can talk about that.
Good idea.
Well, from what I remember, the paneling inside the elevator was very deep brown wood, and I think the thought was that it was too much brown, that it was disturbing skin tones and that sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think we initially, when we shot it, we did shoot it all in color, but I think when we got to editing, that's when we made the decision to go with something different. I like the black and white contrast of the black and white element to the story of oil and vinegar, and just the whole concept of it. I don't know, a lot of filmmakers are scared to do black and white, and with it being a first film, we figured it was a really good choice to do it. The only regret you have is maybe that down the road, as far as broadcasting, a lot of broadcasters don't like black and white, which is, to me, I find that really insane, to say the least.
And then we also went ahead and tinted some of the other scenes, from what I recall, right? So the overhead camera had the green kind of tint for a security look. And then some of the flashback scenes were warmer, kind of purpley tone almost.
Yeah, you'll see them a little later on. We actually, I'm not sure if you remember this, Rob, but we did talk about the importance of the colors. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Remember the orange tint was more of connecting with family?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think you actually had told me about a cinematographer who had a theory on that. So if you want to talk about it, you can.
Yeah, Vittorio Storaro, who's a very famous cinematographer, has an entire kind of color palette that he works with when he does photography. And so we were, I think around that time, the ASC had put out the film about the cinematographers, and we had seen all of that, and it was kind of fresh in our minds, so we tried to use some of that.
Yeah, I think the green here just represented the aloneness of a surveillance camera. I mean, it is kind of dark and grungy. This is very interesting because a lot of this didn't actually appear in the original script. This is where Jason lent a lot of his ad lib, which gave him the ability to be able to help us come in as a co-writer on the project. And I'm sure that Jason probably didn't like us trapping him in an elevator. But within it really worked. I mean, I think the space created a lot of interesting things that were surprises, but make the film much better. If you want to talk about that,
No, well,
Jason.
this scene was fun to play and actually write only from an actor standpoint, playing an actor trying to act, or rehearse what he's trying to come up with. Why that's interesting, I don't know, but for an actor, it's fun to play because you can play different levels. You can play about 5 different people, and obviously Andrew is having a hard time trying to find the guy he has to play for that commercial, and that's what I was trying to, I guess, get across was he's still, lost in his own skin, and he isn't quite. I mean, is he an actor? Isn't he an actor? Can he act? He's not quite sure, so he's trying to find other people within himself to convey the message. And then, of course, Ruth, Carol's character, just shoots him down completely and says, you're not doing this right. From someone he's never met before, all immediately he has a critic in the house, and he can't escape his critic. So I just love the juxtaposition of those two characters in that element. And yeah, I think it's kind of hilarious that he thinks getting into the union is going to make him a big star, but
it's funny how the tension builds pretty early now in this version of the film.
Again, the film of this size, compared to like a big budget feature, I mean, obviously, I don't know how many takes we had on this. I would love watching it again, to do it again, but I just see things. It's very, very hard for me to watch myself doing this because I think, I could have, rolled that off the tongue a bit faster in that scene, or it must be even more excruciating in the editing room, seeing, oh, we had 2 takes of that, or 3, or maybe, I don't know. And how do you find, like, how do you judge in the editing room? I mean, so much of it's the technical, so much of it's the acting, so much of it's
I think we really focused on performance, and that was the way we cut it.
Yeah, you have to with this piece, because that's the whole movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we weren't quite as worried, with jump cuts or things like that. That's why you'll see that spritz, that kind of, like a hash that kind of comes by between the camera
The
shots.
static effect?
Static effect, yeah, that would kind of save us on a lot of points. But we really went for performance as the number one key for the cut.
And on a 3-day shoot, it's hard to get that.
Yeah, one of the big things too is we were also not shooting most of this on film. It was actually shot on video, and part of our choice was as sort of first-time feature filmmakers, this would be a better medium for us. I was kind of I tend to want to be shoot happy, and I think it never hurts. But I think
the more you shoot, the more.
Well, you just feel. I think if you've got the ability to be able to shoot as much as you can, it's a good thing. But from the standpoint of working with Rob, the reality is that we don't want to have 55 takes of something as well. So I think it works on many levels. But I think we did try to get the best performances, because there were obviously times when it teetered off, or from a technical standpoint, maybe it didn't look as good, and we would go with that. But I think the music you can hear in the background now, some of the music that actually we used, we didn't use a lot of independent musicians, but there were a couple. And I mean, again, Rob might want to comment on these flashback sequences. This is Andrew basically recalling his relationship with his son's mother.
Yeah, these were kind of fun because we essentially knew that we liked the pace of the film when we went back to do the re-edit, but the re-edit, we were actually pretty harsh, I think. And so I think had it back to about 1 hour long at one point, and we said, okay, now we're in trouble because we need to make it feature length. So we went back and shot some more backstory stuff, which was fun. I mean, I shot all of this in one day.
We shot it on different mediums too, video and some Super 8.
Yeah,
film.
I think we shot almost every format there was in the world at the time. We shot VHS-C and digital, or not digital 8, but high 8 at some points, and Super 8.
And that was a nice free dolly shot that we got from a boat.
Yeah,
I believe it was a canoe, if I'm not mistaken. And watch the kid in the background; he does catch the ball.
Nice. So we're getting back to just that whole one-take performance thing. Like, not saying one way or another way's the wrong. Like, I'm just thinking of Clint Eastwood right now, and Clint Eastwood's movies. And from what I gather, the first take is the take that he uses pretty much every time. And from an acting standpoint, that's interesting to me, because you have all this energy built up. I don't know, from what you see in the editing room, because I'm not there. But
actually, a lot of the times it is a first take or a second take. But by the time
I think that
by the time you get to several takes, I mean, really. I mean, if it's the technology that is your problem, then you're in big trouble. I think if performance can be consistent, then it's good. But no actor should have to be doing 50 million takes. I think most of our takes were broken up in such a way. Like, I've always liked this part. This was a lot of your input, Jason, creating this. And this, a lot of people actually...
we did a lot but we really tweaked this.
A lot of people comment on this sort of... what he's recalling in these...
Well, you see this explosive guy who's got nothing but a loudmouth, and then all of a sudden he's sitting down, his tie undone, and he's in the room. He's probably 8 hours into it now with her. And
he hasn't really warmed to her, but he's accepted the fact that he's reminiscing a bit.
Yeah, and you wonder, why is he getting so deep? But obviously they're talking about things that affected them in their lives, and... why is he talking about this camp experience? Why is he talking about being attacked like this? I loved it from a writing standpoint. This acting it and writing it. This is actually quite
funny. The whole tying up to the tree is actually quite funny, because without naming names, I actually know someone. I went to a private school when I was in junior high, and a bunch of guys in the dorm had tied a guy naked to a tree in front of the girls' dorm. It's a little bit different than here, but I mean, that's the thread of what we're trying to do, is that being vulnerable at that youth.
This music is so good.
The thing I love about this scene too is it's such guerrilla filmmaking. Like, we didn't have lights.
Look at our lights, flashlights.
Yeah, it was really point source lights and real stuff. There was no. unmotivated light here. Everything was kind of on the fly, which is nice.
There's the horse shot of it. We're on our way to doing suspense movies now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, these we should say that these actors too. These characters, they weren't actors. We were able to sort of work with them and get what we wanted. They're not trained actors, that's for sure. We didn't go through an acting group to get them. We found them through friends of friends, and sometimes those are the best things.
I like to, at this point, we're more intimate, right? The camera's in really close.
Yeah.
We can see the characters are now starting to make a connection with each other. So it's very well shot. It was Todd Langille.
It was Todd that shot it, and he was initially involved in the editing process.
Yeah.
When we had to make choices and decisions and reshaping, and I really think your expertise came in here as well, Rob.
Although some the initial edit by Todd, some of it was completely verbatim on the re-edit, like the entire ending of the film. I don't think we changed one frame because it was brilliant. So at some points we just kind of had to expand it out to.
We were finding the flashbacks, and again, it's an amiable task to be able to sustain so much time. This actually initial footage, this is my parents' wedding footage from 1963. This would be in December of 63, and that was in New Brunswick, St. John, New Brunswick. It's pretty authentic. My parents have passed away. They passed away when I was very young, so it's kind of ironic that I could make them a part of a film.
And here's where you had mentioned it was orange because it was family related.
Again, we created that, and you'll see some other sequences as well with her experiences.
And so it was a pretty small crew, right? You maybe had a dozen people or so when you were
Yeah, at any one given time, we probably had no more than there weren't a lot of people in the elevator, with the exception of sound and basically camera.
And then when we were out shooting the secondary reel, it was you and I. And the actors were like, we didn't have anybody else doing...
It was a much smaller crew.
Yeah, it was a very small crew for that.
But we were conditioned, I think after we shot initially in the elevator, we realized you can't really bring everybody into the space. We had a lot of people outside of that elevator when we were shooting. And sometimes we did have to actually shut the door completely. These shots would have been shot with the door open. I
forgot about that.
Why did you have to close the door?
Just because we were confined and there was a lot more movement. When there was movement in the elevator, we felt that it was necessary to just have one camera person in there. Actually, in some cases, the sound people were not even our sound guy was not even there.
I remember this day.
Yeah, and that's these are sequences that came after the fact. They weren't originally in the script. We wanted to really show more of her flashback of her experience, and you can see the authenticity of the guns. I think a critic was convinced that we shot this in High Park here in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
but
and the uniforms weren't.
But to be honest with you, we didn't actually shoot it in High Park. So to that critic that said that, you were close, but not too close, right?
Not even close.
Yeah. So when we can fool you when we shoot in Ontario, that makes us feel really good.
Yeah.
And
did that feel good getting that out?
Yeah. Well, it's not a peck, and I'm not picking on anybody, but. Rob did a very good job in making these things work, and I look back at them now, and the push to shoot more was probably the best thing we could do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the extra stuff, I mean, it improved the film dramatically.
Yeah, well, there's actually Andre, our distributor, who had felt that there should be a little bit more, so in a strange way, we were actually editing, and then I think the following weekend we were back shooting and then back editing.
Yeah, we were actually shooting, you're right.
I remember we went to a pub and made that decision. I think we had...
That's right.
We ate. We didn't drink, but we should have probably that night.
And the ironic thing too, when we edited, we had the midnight to dawn shift, didn't we?
Yes,
to keep
we
the
did.
Costs low. So
we were working weird hours, and we were working around. We would even be afraid to eat at certain times because I think the prostitution activity in the neighborhood was getting pretty crazy. So we would run to different corner stores, grab our food, or order it before. It was kind of like working an overnight shift in a place in the middle of nowhere, but it was Toronto.
And we laugh now because, ironically, the money we spent to rent the high-end video editing system, now you could own your own video editing system and do this at home versus those.
And that technology came out pretty fast after.
Yeah.
Like that was like 4 or 5 years after.
Yeah, it's true. If we could have waited those 4 or 5 years, we would have saved money and had more options probably too. I remember the opening title sequence, the famous Dead People logo was quite a
Render.
challenge. Yeah, just to even get it to work and then to render it. Now we'd laugh at the simplicity of that.
You can see in this scene too. A lot of people really like this scene. I guess because the intensity of the film in the beginning, it's it's angry young man and kind of know-it-all older person. So it's funny now that sort of like I think the pacing really made a difference. I like the quiet dialogue between the two characters. It's actually quite interesting, and a lot of people commented on this as being one of their favorite scenes.
It's nice too because it kind of I mean the quiet, it gets out of control obviously later, but
you get some of the humanity of the characters.
You get a bit of humanity, a bit of and it's not superfluous backstory either, which I find, if people are going to take that leap when they're writing their films, it's like, oh, okay, well, what's that in there for? I don't know. I don't think that's the case with this writing, not just because I wrote it with Erin and Myles, but just there's a little more information happening, and it's not just in the words, and it's not just in the dialogue, it's in their reactions back and forth to each other, and what they're saying with their eyes, and the connection, the humanity, and the connection back and forth. And it just ups the stakes a bit more when we find out that there's a little bit more happening with her and a little bit more happening with him later on in the film. So
I think what's also good about this too, and Rob makes this point, I mean, a lot of the story is actually in order, but you'll see that it goes from being a wide surveillance in the beginning, showing a lot of people, and you can see these shots. I always like them, the two-shot to two-shot. It's sort of got a tighter shot, and it sort of brings out the emotion. Or sorry, not two-shot, but it's basically, I mean, there you go, we're back to it. And
it's back to being hollow and lonely again. Yeah. And then you're back to that surveillance of, loneliness,
this is her
loneliness, and then you come back in on them, and it's, I mean, if you could almost put like a campfire in between them. I don't know, I'm trying to get esoteric, but
I always like when she raises her
like
hand.
That. It's like that, being around a campfire, and there's a little circle of light in there. It's like, okay, we're together, we're here, we're now, and then then the demons start to appear, and it's their internal demons and their internal struggles start to slowly creep, that. And to me, this is a horror movie. No, there's that type of stuff happening, right? I gotta move my legs over here.
Yeah, I think we were just shaking the mic.
I'm getting excited.
Technical.
Yeah.
We've done pretty good for one take so far.
Yeah. So.
But it is interesting how the two characters have sort of found their own corner at this point, and you'll see that she's drinking what appears to be Lenny's homemade wine. And this is essentially where she starts to see the world as this is a different person completely now. She's starting to evolve into something different.
Yeah, she played this kind of creepiness very well, I thought. I always enjoyed her little mannerisms. And so how long would you be in the elevator at a time to do shoots? Would you be in there for
we sat in
takes, and then
we just sat in there. We very rarely actually stepped out.
Yeah.
We just, in between takes, I mean, what would be the point? I mean, you're in that space, you might as well keep living it.
Yeah.
I think it helped with the performance. I mean, it didn't help for my back. My back actually went into a complete spasm after day one, and thankfully there was a medical person that was working on the set with us, and I can't remember what they gave me, but they gave me some type of narcotic. And because my back literally shut down, my lower back, and I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed that night, and I was freaking out because I thought, oh no, how am I going to do this tomorrow?
This is an interesting part. This is an interesting part of the film. This is where we came up with the title "Famous Dead People." The original script, it was actually called "Bet They Wouldn't Put This on the 6 o'clock news," but they're playing a game called "Famous Dead People," and that's essentially where we came up with the title of it.
And you pretty much shot completely chronologically, right?
Yeah, for the most part, because we wanted the feeling that they were trapped in in an elevator on a long weekend. We actually picked the Canadian Thanksgiving long weekend to do this, which made it even more interesting. So people were giving up their long weekend with families, which was very admirable at the time.
I'm glad we shot it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, for this, again, this theatrical format, it's good to have that arc of building from an acting standpoint. You feel that, okay, we're on to this next level, and we're coming up to this next level. And if we'd shot it out of sequence, I don't know. I mean, as actors, you're supposed to. You should be able to do that. But I think...
Well, we
just
had the technology of video with us, too.
for it
and
to
made
have
a
that
difference.
visceral, real feel, I think it was better that we did shoot everything in sequence.
Yeah.
You know, that so that we were there for 3 days in real life, and then they're in there for 3 days, really doing what they're doing, right? So
Yeah. And where did you come up with costume? Did you kind of work
Actually,
it out
the
ahead of
costume
time, or?
thing was kind of funny because Jason's costume was essentially created on his own. I mean, we had to put him in a suit. He was going to see his birth mother, and we had him dressed up, and I thought it was very appropriate that we had him dressed up. The Ruth character was interesting because other than her own skirt, I mean, essentially the sweater actually was... I purchased the sweater for like $7 at I believe it was Honest Ed's. What made it complicated was I had to purchase a number of shirts for... We'll find out later on why I'm talking about that, but I needed to have the same sweater several times throughout the film.
Yeah.
So she wore several of the same sweater. The cane we found, and then I mean, essentially we needed to put her in something that we could be changing on her, but not so the viewer...
You can mess it up later.
Yeah, sort of thing. We won't get into too much detail about that at this point, but I mean, essentially, her outfit was very straightforward. There wasn't much to it.
This is my favorite Ruth monologue.
Is it? Yeah, it's good.
Throwing the roast at the window. I always loved editing this scene because she's so on the edge in this part. You just feel like she could snap and strangle him, or snap and make him an apple pie, right?
Again, the positioning too. It's kind of interesting. She's standing and he's down below, which is sort of makes you wonder how fearful he should be. And that's the beginning of a searing person.
And so how did you find Carol? Obviously you knew Jason, but...
There was another film that we did originally. It was called... We were planning on doing, and you were part of that as well as Jason. It was Urban Artifacts. It was a film that we were going to do, and she initially had auditioned for parts in that. And when we knew that we weren't able to do that film at the time, I thought that her...
Well, she knocked it out of the park.
She did, actually, yeah.
For Urban Artifacts. I can't remember the character she was reading for.
Well,
I remember. I was actually talking to my wife about that.
I don't remember
night.
a lot about it, but she did a very good job in the reading. And then basically, I felt that if we couldn't do that movie, which was a bigger cast, I approached Jason about doing this, and she just was an obvious choice for the character. We actually molded the story around her and Jason, so we had our actors in place, and then we thought this would be interesting if we created this element to it. So. Carol's background is she's done a lot of theater in Ottawa, Ontario, and the nation's capital.
Was it taxing to do these scenes emotionally? It looks like there's a lot to get out there.
Yeah, I had to take myself. Sorry, I keep putting my
hand
over my mouth.
It's cool.
Yeah, you have to take yourself to a place that's, you do a lot of, I don't know, actor gibberish terms like sense memory, where you're actually reliving something that maybe personally has been going on in your life. And in my life, a lot of personal stuff had just finished happening actually in my life in that period of time. A lot of it dealing with ex-wife type deal. And so a lot of that I brought into this character, almost 100% actually, of what I was personally going through. And you just use that information and transfer it, and you live in the moment. So, trying to get it take after take, it's very hard. I mean, but it was emotionally draining.
I think that was a really good scene. Like you did so well in the sense that you've fallen apart at that point. I always liked that part where Carol sort of, you see her hand reach over, her character reaches over, and I think it's sort of, it says that she does care in a lot of ways, even though she's this crusty know-it-all type woman.
Yeah, it's the ribbons becoming frayed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the ribbons slowly becoming frayed. And
now what we're seeing is Carol's nightmares. Sorry, when I say Carol, she was obviously the actress.
Yeah.
But Ruth is reliving some pretty nasty memories here.
When we reshot this, how did we come to the decision to put me into the
that was done after
Nazi
that was done after editing as well. That was the concept was that we thought it might be interesting to do that, because you got to understand, like, the character is, we're trying to play off of her believability, but she has a delusional element to her. So
she's doing a transference.
Yeah, we thought
right?
It would be interesting to do that.
head.
And actually, if I'm not mistaken, we did shoot that. I believe it was actually in the editing suite where we shot that, right, Ron?
I was just trying to remember that.
I think it was. It was in the editing suite. We actually had done the initial footage, and I think then we decided, let's do this. So that would have come after we actually went out to the wooded area to shoot the other Nazi stuff in the woods.
I don't know. I always thought that, not to be, again, it's that thing of when is clever being too clever. And I remember shooting this, and I remember saying, no, you don't want me in this outfit. You should have some other actor doing this, because this seems a bit too clever for me to have me in that Nazi outfit. But not until later on does it show it, or does it rear its ugly head, where it makes sense to me, that, yeah, she's seeing him as this antagonistic Nazi,
Yeah.
Well, actually, another thing too, Jason, is this is where, Ruth is really attacking him now with her delusions. But the thing is just to actually remind you, in the original script, we do have a shot of you lunging up I don't know if you remember the image. It was actually in the old Nazi uniform that we decided we had original Nazi uniforms that we didn't think were authentic enough. So
Right.
A lot of what we decided to do by reshooting her sequences, there wasn't an original one with the not so great Nazi
That's
outfit
right.
where
I
you're
forgot
lunging up
about
the
that.
hill.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
was actually initially thought that would be good, but I thought it was more powerful because you're seeing sort of the shadow of your face. And that was all shot in an editing room, and you wouldn't know. It could be in any soundstage, but it wasn't a big editing room.
And again, I don't know if we had a lighting kit or whether it was just existing light that we shot. We were a little gun and run on some of that stuff.
I think we had a kit of some sort, but I don't think
Wasn't big for sure.
No, and it was the room was probably not much bigger than this room that we're in right now.
Yeah. It's kind of a disarming of Ruth scene, eh?
The attempt to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, these cut shots, cutting into the close-ups were interesting. It just takes you back into the reality of just being more than the surveillance camera. The surveillance camera represents that newspaper article. That's what you need to remember when you're watching this. You really don't get to know the people inside the surveillance camera.
Yeah, like we had
Or the article, or the newspaper article for that matter. And I think that's what we really, by cheating, you're really getting more than a newspaper story here.
Yeah. And again, some of that may have been because the performance was even better in the overhead camera, right? Sometimes it's a choice for technology or for the feel, and sometimes it's a choice because the performance
And
is great.
you would know that because you guys are in that room and you're looking over
Look
the
at all
footage and
the-
going, this works much better.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes we'd be fighting over what we would do close or what we would do wide. But I think most of the close-ups look good.
What's funny is that some of it's scripted in the sense that you're looking at it. I'm talking again from the editing standpoint. It's okay. This is the formula we had. This is where. But then sometimes the accidents start happening in the editing room, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where it's like, oh,
because we would
didn't
take
know we had
several-
this.
Yeah, we would take several runs at scenes too. It's not like we had one. It was easy to pick the finished product. I remember we agonized a lot. We had a ton of recipe cards, right? Mm-hmm. So this is you doing your rehearsals again?
The O'Dooleys again, which got tacked in there. This wasn't in the script, right? To have him do it again.
Not quite sure. I know the original concept of him rehearsing his. This is all
It's all ad lib.
ad lib.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we kind of stacked a bunch of this in the middle to try and slow the pace down so that the audience would kind of feel the isolation or what have you of the elevator.
Again, we're back to the surveillance camera as well, and that makes a big difference.
A lot of this is actually crazy acting stuff from the National Theatre School of Canada. And what I was doing, a lot of it's vocal exercises, but what I was doing was applying the psychotic nature, not the psychotic nature, but the isolation nature, whatever, into this with it and mixing it, and basically like a jazz player going, "Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, I'm going to be psycho, and then I'm going to do some vocal things here, and that's my best Billy Crystal.
And we had what they call a lipstick camera, I guess, up in the corner of the elevator, right? It's a really tiny camera with a kind of a wide-angle lens to get this shot. So again,
Actually,
we're still in the elevator.
Before
It's
we
not-
used it, it was actually, we had to wait for this camera because it was being used in an actual surgery for some Discovery Channel in the States, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And I think you just plugged it into the bigger camera, the back of the bigger camera, and
Yeah.
recorded it that way, right?
It went to the beta deck, actually, right to the camera.
Yeah.
But it was the size of a marker. It was pretty amazing technology, and we got that for a good price.
Makes you feel like a female or a man. Yeah. That was all out of I don't know where. Dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock. That was a vocal exercise.
Sounds like an Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah. Well, some of these vocal exercises, in order to free up dialogue and like so that you're not still playing the same sort of thing all the time, you go off into other directions, right?
Yeah.
And you try and play it a different way. Play it as an old lady, play it as an old man, play it as a dog.
Okay.
You know, and all that does is just frees you up a bit.
Okay, so now we're going to start to see the movie take a different slide completely. Again, we're back on the close-up shots, and you can see that Andrew's character is not doing too well after a few days in an elevator.
Yes, but why?
Well, we'll find out maybe.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, yeah.
That's
no
the toughest
spoilers.
thing here is we don't want to get too far. We'll get back to shirts and
Yeah, but
sweaters.
what about the people that have already seen it and they already know? So they're kind of wondering, well, why is he doubling over?
Yeah, but we have to assume that there's somebody
wrenching.
out there that accidentally hit the commentary first.
Oh, true. Okay.
It would be
Yeah,
like me.
stop now, go to the other piece of the menu, and hit abort. Wow, 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 wow. Great music. I love the music in this.
Yeah, we should take a hat off to Blair Cleveland.
Yeah.
Who
Yes.
was our
Blair
It was very good.
Cleveland.
maestro. Phenomenal work.
Yep.
And the amazing thing, too, was he obviously scored it to the original edit. So a lot of cases we had to actually take this music and put it over scenes that it wasn't designed for.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he had actually scored to the first edit.
I
in terms
didn't
of
know
length.
that. I thought he came back and did more.
No. So
It was,
that's,
it was a little
Wow.
bit of both. We actually, I found that after a while it was tough too because it's when you're trying to get that out of a musician. Blair actually it doesn't read music. He actually creates just by synthesizers. So a lot of his stuff he's influenced by people like Vangelis and
I would have a lot more
Glass.
pee in my body than what's
Philip
in
Glass.
what's in that wine bottle.
that's a good point.
Maybe not.
For the trivia track.
I've practiced at home. Yeah, the trivia track. That's not enough pee in that bottle. This is such a sad segment. I always had this segment I had a hard time doing. Because, I mean, it's all bodily function now at this point. It's like, yeah, where do you go?
what do you do?
What do you do? Where do you put things that come out of your body? And this wasn't fun to play, actually. This all the dramatic bits are fun.
Yeah.
But when you get to this stuff's for me anyway. I was the one that was doing it.
So the big question,
I'm not really taking a crap, but
the big question is, what was the book? Do you guys remember what the book was?
It was a
That's a
romance. It was a romance book of some sort that we had, and I don't remember. It was pretty much a Harlequin romance of some sort. I know that the cover was pretty tattered because we had. Well, let's put it this way: it gets thrown around a little bit too later on in the movie.
isn't that weird? How
But one of the things you got to understand.
This stuff makes me cringe more than
What do you?
all
One of
the
the things
other
you got.
stuff that starts to happen.
One of the things that the viewer has to
Playing it,
understand at this
it's
point
weird.
is that, your way of dealing with going to the washroom and dealing with it is completely different than her. I mean, she's not
Yeah.
going to pull her skirt down and necessarily do it. But,
Right.
and it's tough too because I don't want this. I didn't want this to be, it doesn't have to be graphic in nature. You see enough to know what's going on, but
This is the most.
Again,
in
the
the
surveillance
maze.
camera
The most
actually
in the
covers
maze is
that, so.
starting now, man. It's unraveling.
Yeah, I'd like to say we planned this with the tie, the unraveling of the tie and his character, but we just found a lot of props that worked. I always liked the shoe one too.
Visual irony.
Yeah. These were
Visual
not things that
metaphor.
would necessarily be fully scripted. We played around a lot with the props, and I like when you start flipping the phone and.
Yeah, we did. I remember you calling through the elevator, going, flip the tie, do this, and
Yeah,
do a bit more.
again,
of
the
this.
surveillance camera shots. For the surveillance.
Like, what am I?
To
A
clarify,
circus monkey?
actually,
Like, why am I doing this?
to actually clarify earlier, Rob had mentioned this. Now it's all coming back to me. The reason why the door was shut was because we had the surveillance camera there, and it would pick up the door. So all of this would be shut, and we would actually have to communicate by opening the door and/or going through, yelling through the door.
So did you put any lights or anything inside the elevator? I don't know if I've ever asked that
Do
question.
you remember the Kinos?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was.
Kino flows in there?
Yeah, this was Rob's suggestion before, and you weren't even on this set. You had suggested that in the past, the Kinos, remember?
Oh, that was quite smart of me. I don't even remember doing that. But,
That's a nice little way to get in there, eh? Yeah.
well, Kinos are great if you don't know what they are, because they're like fluorescent lights that are balanced for film or television. So they put out a nice light output, but without the heat, which is of course what you wouldn't want in an elevator, is stifling lights burning down in your head. So that's probably why that suggestion was made.
Yeah, we hung them above the on the roof.
uh,
Again, all these filters and tinges were added in editing later. I always like this part where you're just rocking back and forth. The music really works for this. Again, some of these pieces were done initially. And then this footage was actually original footage. This was like probably one of the few flashbacks that we did initially.
before the
the
reshoot.
Yeah, these were done at my old apartment in a playground nearby. Actually, I think some of the wardrobe is my old clothing, which I don't have anymore. I think you're wearing my sweater.
No,
and I
that's my sweater.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought that was Aaron's
I
sweater.
think it is my sweater, dude.
Do we
You have
both
a
have the
no.
same
You have a
sweater?
sweater similar to
That's
it.
my leather jacket.
Yeah.
And that's my hat. That's my wedding ring. No.
Yeah, this is original in that sense, but this is another
I
one
think
of
this
those
scene is so
famous.
sweet.
Yeah,
I
we're
love this scene.
a little hot here yelling, aren't we? Rob's
Sorry.
bouncing back and forth with the audio levels.
Oh, I
here.
remember this. I still look like that.
And who was that actress?
Oh, that's her name was Janice. Her name is Janice Braith. Wait, and that actually little boy there is my nephew. He's now 17.
Yeah, that is scary, isn't it?
I remember I had to stand on my tiptoes doing this monologue because they couldn't get the angle of my face in it.
Right.
And so Erin was going, "Can you get closer? Can you get?" So I'm literally doing a ballet thing here.
You can see his tiptoeing.
But you can't, and I'll tell you, man, it's never been more difficult for me to do a monologue in my life than to do it.
Again, there's another shot of my nephew.
Thank God for my ballet teacher back in theater school. This was really hard for me to do.
Well, it's also a really hard scene for you to
Because it
do
was
because it's
uncomfortable.
really, this is you reaching out to what you feel that you're not going to have, right?
Right.
Yeah, I always thought it was a very powerful scene.
It is.
I was amazed you guys kept this in.
Well, you
That's
had to.
great.
It's a very
Yeah, it was a great piece.
important part of it. I mean, that's,
I was so like, oh, that performance was horrible.
Oh, I thought it was one of the
Why did you guys keep that in? But
best pieces.
now looking back on it, it's not that bad.
I know. I think it looks like
there's the
the
book.
technology's
There's the
changed.
book.
Oh,
You
there's
can-
the book,
no, we
yeah.
don't see the title, but
Remember you had
Daniel
some-
Steele or something.
I don't even think it was that. It was
Enough
actually-
about the book.
Do you remember you had the problem with the Betacam machine messed up, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
actually you'll
so-
notice to the viewers out there, you'll notice that the screen is the quality of the picture is different. It's actually starting. We began to shoot the tail end of the movie actually on a VHS because we had a problem with the Betacam deck, which in a really strange way it worked really well
It worked
because the
it's
characters
all
are starting to
unraveling and then
disintegrate.
they're unraveling.
Yeah, and it blends nicer with the things. So and we had some great shots. And again, like this shot is such a great shot of Jason. But it's funny because you got that little tinge of quality going through it.
You see a lot more noise in the background. It looks like a grain or something.
But it's interesting because they're talking about the surveillance camera now, and I mean these guys are starting to really unwind in a different direction. You're looking at a young man now that's not as rambunctious as he was in the beginning, and she's become almost a little bit more sympathetic in some ways.
What I love about this as well is like everything's sort of dreamy. There's a lot of dreamy things happening, hallucinatory, and then all of a sudden, bang, we're back into this back and forth dialogue. Hey, we're still talking, and then it's just the pacing is great.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more of a sort of foreshadowing. Initially, in the beginning of the movie, we talked about how the original script concept was to take something that would be a simple tabloid news story and really show a story behind these two characters. So essentially, that's kind of where we're heading in this point.
Yeah, it's almost like she's been resigned to what's going on, right? Yeah. She's a lot more calm at this point, and maybe almost more motherly too at this point. Or something. I don't know. It's just me, but
yeah. Well, she's saying, you don't give up. I don't want you to give up. These shots of
She doesn't
Jason.
She doesn't
really
even know
good.
he's going through what he's going through yet, does she?
No,
No.
that'll be coming soon. Again, we're back on the close-up shots, and I really think that these were magical. It was very common in the 70s with independent films, and I think we were bang on with this.
so I'm guessing you must have had to bring the camera down to their level too, right? Did you have a special tripod to bring it down that low? Or?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly how we positioned it that way, but yeah, I think it was lower down. I'm not sure how we got it down because the dolly wouldn't have been that low. Actually, we might have shot these with the pen cam, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure.
I think this still looks like it's the big camera because the pen cam had the wide angle lens. It's
Yeah. I really don't know, to be honest with you. It's been a long time.
yeah.
You will see the pen cam being used other than a surveillance camera as well. And these were all shot in the editing studio, which is kind of ironic. We were laughing about the fact that we couldn't really... Some of us could remember, some of us couldn't. This was quite a masterpiece when Rob pulled this off. We spent a lot of time on that.
What? Cutting?
That
Trying to cut it
that
all
sequence
together.
with her rocking was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get the timing and to get the effects. I mean, you think it is what it is, but it's and here's the orange, which really represents family. So it's almost like her emotion and feeling changes with the color.
We were kind of having this discussion yesterday how we were shooting in a park, essentially a kind of a public park, with these full-blown Nazi uniforms and machine
This
guns.
was in Dundas Park, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't have said that because now somebody's going to come after us. But,
But
we
you were
did
talking
have
about how-
permission. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had permission. But
But
we
some
had
of the locals were getting freaked out.
We
by,
had a few people that sort of...
Really?
Yeah. But it was all good. I mean, it was all explained.
I guess everybody kept that from me.
And so, did you get these from British Columbia? Is that right?
Yeah, initially we
costumes,
got some costumes here in Toronto, and as I said, I'm glad that we did the reshoot because they were really horribly hideous. They were very comedic. They just weren't Nazi outfits the proper way. So these ones actually are the ones that would have been used on films like, TV series like X-Files and other. I think actually some of the uniforms were used in Schindler's List as well. So I mean, these are really authentically
the Nazi scene in X-Men.
We had them sent.
Beginning.
We had them sent in from Vancouver, and they're more authentic too as well. So, and this little kid, I don't even remember her name. It's been so a while. She was a friend of a friend, and no acting whatsoever. And I thought she did a very, very good job.
She had a hard time on the day, and it translated.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was a little bit crying a little bit, but when you consider that she's that young, she did a very good job.
She did a great job. She's a very cute girl.
Yeah, I forgot. It's funny how you forget about certain sequences, and we had a lot of support from different people as far as communities go, and it's amazing when you don't have a lot of money to make a film. When you look at the cost of our film, I mean, initially we had set it up to be $27,000. I mean, you can't even buy a car for $27,000 nowadays. And when you look at what we had to work with and how many times we had to go and make changes, it is really remarkable that everybody seemed to pull through. But we get a lot of support and a lot of help. I mean, a lot of crew and some of these people, we're not paid a tremendous amount of money. Let's put it that way. I always found this to be very powerful.
Well, it's going up to the light, right?
Yeah, albeit that it's digital, but it's
symbolic.
sort of it worked in our favor.
Yeah.
So I think I can't hear the dialogue at the moment, but did Ruth do her kind of noise?
Not here.
Not
No, not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Because I'll tell a funny story when we
Yeah.
get to that spot.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like this too. I remember telling you guys to move around in the elevator, but like as if you were sleeping. And it really works from a slow motion perspective. It just shows the passage of time. I mean, you got to figure at this point, that's been several days in an elevator. And I mean, it's very ironic because when this film came out and we went to the film festival in Portugal, Rob was there, and Myles, our co-producer and writer, and I believe his girlfriend at the time, we got stuck in an elevator, which was ironic.
Not for as long as these people did, though, luckily.
No, thank goodness. And it was a smaller one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Is there a mouse in the house?
This scene was one of the toughest scenes for us to really get.
Are there small animals in here with me? Sorry.
No, it's all right. This scene was one of the hardest scenes for us to pull off the right way. We did several takes on it, but I think when it came together, it was perfect.
Yeah, this is for me the first point when it really got scary in the elevator. There was a lot of tension and anger before, but this was the point where it's
look at how.
Yeah, this is where it's
dangerous.
getting dangerous.
This is where Jason really. I love how he slowly just goes in and goes, I've had enough of this. And there's your scene that we were talking about earlier. That was initially shot with other uniforms, but then we created it again with the new ones, and it worked out better. I always like this. This is a pen
Nobody
cam.
told me I would be handling guns and ammunition on this.
That last shot was actually using the pen cam. The pen cam was great in being able to pick it up right off the ground and create that illusion. We strapped the pen cam, actually, well, in this case, I think we strapped it onto another gun.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you shoved it right in my face.
Mm-hmm. That's coming up right there.
Right
That's
there.
the shot there.
Yeah, that was really weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll go with this. Oh, what are you doing?
Bruise
A
neck. And
camera?
again, this is not in the woods. This is back in this is a studio. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of. You can actually see the ceiling tile there. There's the shot with the pen cam. My
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah. Some very interesting shots when you consider that we didn't have a lot of money, but we used what we did. And I think it's good too that we didn't make the technology ruin the story. I think it just sort of creates more of this elusive, strange kind of behavior, right? Like it's just
Like I said, this
surreal.
whole movie seems like a dream to me now. Like
Yeah.
even watching it after being.
Yeah, it's funny how
And
you
I don't know if
feel
I'm
disconnected.
getting it because
Yeah.
I was in it, but
Yeah,
it seems like that. It just seems like it's a dream.
I feel disconnected a bit from it. Like it's funny because we were talking about when was the last time you've seen it. I mean, it's probably been a couple of years for sure for me.
This was interesting in editing that we actually used the sound from
I love that. It worked.
inside the elevator and tried to match it to you
Yeah.
saying it in the
Yeah.
woods. Worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I love that you guys made that decision. Wait a second. I made that. No.
Yeah. Well, we tried to not make
Take
that a
credit,
disconnect,
yeah.
right? We wanted to have her believe that what she's seeing is real in
Really
that
there.
moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we used the stuff on location, suddenly it was like somewhere else. It wasn't tied directly in the elevator. So
A little later on, you're going to also hear some things that were done. Marc Lafontaine did a lot of the sound editing, and he came up with some really interesting sounds, like even underwater sounds that he uses a little later on. A little later on in the movie, you'll get a sense of that. But it's sound is everything. It really is.
I love how we both like get down, try to clean everything up, and it's like no, okay, maybe. And then the break. It's so like the quiet breakdown, you know.
It's as if Ruth's character. This is the pen camera. It's as if Ruth's character was, she's being the mother again. It's,
the mother.
She goes from delusional flashbacks. Again, this is the pen cam, and it's just a sort of showing you the demise. And now the story will obviously become a lot more heated and more intense.
Did we ever talk about the story going some other direction? I don't think we did we? Like how could it go anywhere else other than where it's going? It's like, you know.
Well, I mean, there was a
at the
scene.
time I had come out of theater school and I was talking about Macbeth and Shakespeare and tragedy, and I kept saying, we talked about like the nature of tragedy, the real, like, what is tragedy? Well, you are going to have people experiencing the bad at the end, and there's going to be no happy ending.
So here it's revealed, and I like the
But
psychoticness of the editing here. Like this was not easy. This took us a long time, and I honestly, hats off to Rob for being so patient and getting this the way we wanted. It's sort of that quick flashback of everything before you're ready to just hit your demise. This being great too.
yeah, like I said, most of the stuff that you see here that's in the elevator was all Todd Langille. He did a brilliant job doing that editing on that, and I don't think we changed a frame of that. So we peppered in some of this other outside.
Yeah, I should
stuff,
actually
but-
give him a lot of credit for that. When I say that, because I think I remember you and I spending a lot of time interlacing the other footage that we had got and wanted to. Yeah, actually, this is originally, I think that was Todd slowing it down and again going with that effective.
Yeah, and in fact, I remember even on
pain.
this hit on the door, I tried to match frame for frame what Todd had done. That's how much I was in awe of what he had done. And this was fun too because we have the projector sound over this as well, right?
As
We kind
if
of made
his
this
life
flashback
is
like as a film.
A Super 8 film.
Yeah.
Getting back to my whole tragedy Macbeth thing.
Yep. Sorry.
No. I was waiting for that, but anyway, if you classify this as a tragedy movie or not.
I don't think it's tragedy yet. We haven't got to the ending.
Yeah, okay. We know what road we're going down. It's that belief that maybe things can somehow take a turn a character is going to make a decision that's going to go the other way. Maybe,
every character has a choice,
maybe they'll get
right?
saved. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, that's the like, are they going to make that choice or that decision? And then this is what's great about this footage happening before the final act, because we're seeing happier,
it's the human elements.
happier times.
It's the human elements of one's life.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do here.
You know,
I mean, it's hard because you want to make it work.
and blow up penguins and family. Basically, it's family.
Well, it's funny, you're talking about the paddle boats and the penguin, but it's really about the people. We've sort of positioned them in
I know,
there.
I was just
Fun
saying
and every.
paddle boats.
No, but the thing that's interesting is visually.
You know what I mean?
No, visually we had to find ways to create this,
Yeah.
and it is funny because I mean, to me the boat's wonderful, but I mean, really, sorry, I hit the mic.
It's
In this
holding
scene,
the
it's a
hands.
great little shot, but it's the hands.
Yeah,
it's the
of course.
hands. Like when you look at
all
that,
about
it's
the
nice.
hands.
You know, you can see
Jazz
hats and all that, but it really is about that.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's why
even the
I
music,
love
even
this-
even the
that
music.
this
I
was
always
put in
liked this
there.
piece of music, and we were real fortunate enough to get this piece of music. It's just subtle, and it's got sort of a feeling.
It's a
and
break.
This was brilliant. We had so much fun shooting in this little house. This is we had gone to a property, and we were able to shoot it, and it was just wonderful because it's just a playhouse basically, and it's very childlike in the sense that it's like, well, we're gonna dream, and this is what you do when you're young. You dream of having a house, but it's.
I'm just saying kudos to the two of you for putting this in, where in the sequence of events that happen, because a lot of other filmmakers would have skipped right to, you know, the money shot. Of,
Yeah.
Let's go right to the the grit, the grind, you know, the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys chose to put this in, which I thought was just unbelievable. When I saw it, I was like, this is better than anything I did in the movie. Like,
I wouldn't go that far.
well, no.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, you got to remember
Really?
that a lot of these actors were not really. I mean, this is where the video cameras just totally
The
at
bad
this
video
point was
camera.
getting really bad. It was
And it
brutal.
came in the perfect spot.
Yeah, it was ideal. I think too we kind of had that discussion of the life flashing before your eyes. Right?
Yeah,
and that's kind of where he is at this moment because we
Yeah.
know he's not in
Right.
good shape and may
Something's
not make
going
it out of
down.
the
He's
elevator.
got blood there, and you know.
Yeah,
And this is just I loved. I remember when this was shot and when we nailed this, we nailed it. Everybody, like 15, 20 people outside of an elevator just roaring. Couldn't believe it. It was so good. It worked out perfectly. And it is ironic that the camera is very shaky.
yeah. Again, hats off to Todd's camera work here because this is all really nicely.
A lot of this was rehearsing with where Jason would be and where he could go.
Yeah, Todd and I
it's
actually
hard. They
rehearsed
had
that
to actually block a lot
together.
of this out, and
we did that. Him and I said, okay, when you come up, I'm gonna put my head over on this side, and otherwise we never would have got this shot.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a few takes where the timing didn't work, so I
Yeah.
think this was really
The one where it hit nail.
well. There was a
Yeah.
few, but I mean, I
Yeah.
think that really part of practicing, rehearsing, and blocking and practicing is
Yeah.
just when you've got video, why not roll it?
Yeah. Yeah, as an actor, you have to work with your camera operator at any given time. You should be talking to him or her, like all the time, going, okay, where are we setting? Where are we coming? You're going to be here. You're going to be there, because none of this would have happened if I'd been just standing there going, okay, shoot me.
Yeah.
None of that would have happened.
Well, we're using the pen cam too, so it had to be really precise with his
Really
hand. Like I
precise.
think it was really important that we show his hand and blood and
Yeah.
just the shakiness of his character. There's the famous book. We got to find out what book that was. Isn't that something we don't remember?
You don't have it somewhere in the
No,
archive?
I'm sure it was thrown away.
Could be worth money on eBay.
I think it was ripped apart anyway. So we ruined some romance novelist's future.
I remember the gun fell apart. It broke, and I had to do this fake thing over here like this. This is why I'm doing this to my back,
Yeah.
because the actual gun broke, and I couldn't put the bullets in. So I had to do it to my back to the camera, and I cheated it.
But these prop guns were pretty authentic.
Now
I
that
mean,
you
they
know
felt
that, you'll
like a
never
real
view
gun.
the movie the same
That's
way.
right.
Because it fell on we did a shot where it fell to the ground, and it shattered.
Oh.
And then we had to do a retake.
This is one of the best scenes from a writing standpoint. This was fun to just have him go off. Again, the timing was just bang on.
Such a powerful build here.
Yeah. And I just love the idea that the tape is kind of rippling too. It couldn't be. It was almost like, from a technical standpoint, you couldn't come at a better time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what happens when you shoot in sequence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember. Was there many takes of this?
No.
I get the sense that this was all pretty much.
It.
Yeah, you just firing it right
we
out of the
nailed
can.
it right off. I mean, they saw it in the monitor, and then I remember Aaron coming in.
If I'm not mistaken, there was at least one more take within here. I don't know, because I do know that when the gun broke, we tried something else at that point.
But this is all run. That's
all one.
Yeah.
That's
This is
one
all
take.
one
That's
take.
one take, Charlie. Man, it's
magic.
That's where
actually, if
that's
I'm
where
not
rehearsal
mistaken,
paid off.
if I'm not mistaken, this was the.
If I had just received that the day before, there's no way. I mean, the fact that we rehearsed.
Now that I remember, actually, the first take, this was the first take we did, but I think even though we were excited, we did one more take, if I'm not mistaken, just to cover it in case there was anything we needed to.
That's right. Yeah.
But it is the first take. It was just so magical.
It's amazing too. The lens, the wide angle lens of that pen cam really adds something to this as well, right? You can get right in their face. It feels like, there's the personal space aspect, and this to me feels like we're in everybody's zone, right? You are part of that.
You're really in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was good that the pen cam becomes gradually so close and so surreal. It was a great choice in shooting. It's funny, he rips the paper up and then you get the ripple in the tape. And that wasn't deliberate. So now you can see why we needed several sweaters.
This is where the gun broke.
I always loved this.
The gun broke here.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then when you had to do the second take, probably that's what it was.
So I was like, how do I cover this? What do I do? Oh, magic trick. My back to the camera.
No one will know.
No one will ever know. Oh, this scene breaks me up. I haven't seen this in a long time.
The music is so haunting.
Yeah,
It was
the
just so
music's good.
great to get it the way it went. And I mean, again,
I have to credit Sean Penn for this scene, actually.
How's that?
There's a scene that he does in colors with Robert Duvall where he finds someone who's dead. And I always remembered that scene where he was over the dead body of Robert Duvall and he nailed it. And I was like, how do I ever get there? If I ever have to do a scene where somebody's dying? Because obviously you've got an actor that's really not dead, and I don't know, there was always that. I always thought to myself, if I ever have a dead person scene, I'm gonna try and find that level that he finds, right?
Yeah.
Not to emulate or imitate what he did, but emotionally, where he goes. I always wanted to reach that. I don't know if I did that here, but
Oh, I think so. When you see the number
yeah.
and scream, that's since
yeah, even this is just so great. It was just like, I can imagine your hands must have been just bruised like no tomorrow, because it's raw. It couldn't come off any better. Like, you look. You got to remember, these are different takes too, folks, because like we're doing surveillance the first time, and then we're doing the down in the elevator too. So I mean, we didn't have the ability to have two cameras rolling at the same time. These are different takes, but I mean, it's just the intensity level and the consistency was fantastic. That was actually funny how we did that dissolve. That was partly because of an editing thing, but it just had such a great feeling about it. It was almost evil. And that's it. And the choice to do this was basically, again, we're going back to that simple news story about two people who get trapped in an elevator, and it becomes a tabloid story. But really, the movie is
what it's
the
about.
movie is getting to know behind a simple little Thursday newspaper article that's like, wow, these people get trapped in an elevator.
How humans die.
Yeah, well,
how do people go?
I mean, it is a fictitious story, but as you can see, we created it in such a way that it makes you wonder if it's a real story.
Sensationalism and all of those things. Is it sensationalized? No, it's a simple story.
It's really ironic because, I mean, we are sitting here, and I mean, this is the first time probably the three of us have watched this film since, probably in 10 years. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because it really still resonates a lot of what's going on in the world today. I mean, now it's different. It's, Twitter and Facebook, and the technology is faster and it's more impersonal. I mean, so in some ways the film did very well as far as actually being broadcast. I mean, it had a life of its own, and
a very long life. We were just talking about how long? 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think theatrically we didn't get as many theaters as we wanted to, but I mean, theatrically, the same with festivals. It didn't necessarily go in all the big ones. We tried the big ones, but I think winning in Portugal,
Jackie Zaida, that would be my wife.
That's your current wife, yeah.
Yes, and we have a lovely little girl named Avery, 1 year old, and I met her on this movie.
It's funny. I was just thinking, looking at the credits, that the kids that were teenagers doing all the summer camp are like adults now, 11 years later,
now.
right?
You're right. You're right.
Funny to see them.
Actually, earlier on too, I think at one point when we were talking over it. There was a sequence where the In Flanders Field poem was read by children. That was quite an interesting thing for us to get that. We actually went to a gymnasium and recorded it.
Did you have to get clearance for that or no?
No, it's copyrighted. It's
anybody can use it and anybody can say it anywhere
fine.
They want to. That's awesome.
And the credits were just crazy. Like, you look at some of this, like even from an editing standpoint, we went to so many facilities and so many people were very helpful. I think we have the longest credits in the history of independent film in Canada. But you know what? For an independent film,
that will make for this commentary to be much
But
longer.
you know what? For an independent film, we did something that a lot of independent films did. We made money.
Yeah.
We actually made money and could pay people back. I mean, albeit it wasn't a lot of money. There's a lot of big budget Canadian films that get government funding. They don't bring back any money. Mm-hmm. And it's a testament to the people who believed in it.
I love how we had different crews for each area too. Meadows Ranch.
Yeah, and that's
Webster
actually
Falls.
funny too. When you break down the credits, you look at the summer camp was another. We had a lot of kids involved in it. It was very good that they helped out. Here's the poem. As I said, those 5 girls were wonderful in reading the poem. It was wonderful. And then there's the music critics. Blair actually did most of the scoring was done by Blair.
I think we joked for a long time after that this would be on television and the musicians would be being paid. Well, nobody else was.
Yeah.
I heard that.
I actually remember this part of the credits when we created this part of the credits. You'll notice how detailed our cameras are. Yeah. And this was actually a lot to do with Rob.
That's true. We did go a little
We
over the
wanted
top.
independent filmmakers to be able to sort of see what we were playing with at the time. There's the Kino Flow lights, and I mean, I don't think we made any mistakes. I don't think anyone was left out.
No, I think it was good. Yeah, look at all the different formats.
That's
we
all the
shot it on,
formats
too.
of
That's
stock
funny.
footage.
TDK
footage,
8mm.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Super 8. Nobody uses that anymore. Antiquated.
That's funny.
And there's the post-production facilities. I'm not sure if any of these.
We're dinosaurs.
Some
now.
of these might not even be around anymore. Again,
That's true.
We're talking 12 plus years, I guess. The film was originally shot in 1997, but it wasn't released until December of 1999.
In rotoscope.
Actually, it wasn't actually released first. It was November of
Sorry,
99.
I can't get over that. That all that equipment, a lot of it's antiquated now.
Yeah.
And there's all the love money. I just look all the people that gave money to it. I mean, $5, $10, $20. We're not picky as long as it's money.
Who's Bank Boy?
Oh, that's, you know where that comes about? That was a funny joke one that we did, because when Myles and I needed to get the initial money for the production, we had opened up a joint account, and unbeknownst to us, because it wasn't a bank, it wasn't a business account, we actually thought we could go in and grab the money. Like, we thought we could go in and take it out, but we found out that it was going to be difficult. So they actually were able to give us like a big chunk. Like, I had like $15,000 in bills in my briefcase in 20s to go and pay bills. So it's kind of funny that we mention that as well, because it was like banker boy.
We're off. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to make this film. Goodbye, all.
Are you thanking the people?
I'm thanking everybody out there that's seen this movie.
Okay, well, thank you for being a supporter of it. And I'd give you a website, but it's been so long that we don't have one. So check it out online. I'm sure you can find it.
Onward and upward until we make another film together, right? That's the dream.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yay! Good night and farewell.